Hello guys, welcome to the video. So this is going to be the long-awaited review, and I've mentioned it in the last two videos now, of the sleeping bag I got in December. So it's what you would call an off-brand sleeping bag. It's by a company called QEZER. There's a few different people who say different names and how to pronounce this, but QEZER, Q-E-Z-E-R. So to start this review off, I just wanted to say that I actually paid £159 for this sleeping bag in December of 2024. It's gone up in price because obviously I think I used a voucher, a £20 voucher that they offered at that time, so it got down to £159, and it's currently £199 on Amazon UK. And then on Amazon US it's actually $219 with a 10% off voucher currently available, so obviously you can work that out if you need to. So I'm glad that it's offered in the US and the UK. Amazon means it's a lot easier to get for you guys over the water. But yeah, welcome to the review of this. I'll give my honest thoughts and opinions and go through the features of what I like and don't like about this. Spoiler alert, there's not much I don't like. It is obviously a budget sleeping bag for what you get. So there's a few things that are going to be missing compared to things like RAB, mountain equipment, and those sort of sleeping bags. So come along with me while I review this beautiful bag. Now, to kick things off, I will just say that this is not my first sleeping bag. It's actually my second that I've purchased for camping. Now, this is a massive upgrade compared to what I had previously, which is this little beauty. It's the Mountain Warehouse Summit 300. So this has been battered and beaten as much as I can. It's been well used all throughout the year, winter and summer. So the old sleeping bag, it had a comfort rating of around 5 degrees. Now I took it around, just above freezing. It got cold. It did, and 5 degrees is fair enough for the price that I paid for it back then, and I think it was about 2-3 years ago now. So I paid for around £45 or something from Mountain Warehouse, and it's a completely synthetic bag. Given the price that it is, you wouldn't expect anything more. And yeah, it's done me really, really well. But throughout some winters, when it gets below 5 degrees, you do start to feel it. And I just wanted a bit more security in the winter time, so I don't feel like I'm a bit apprehensive to go out and enjoy camps in the winter. So yeah, that sleeping bag has done me well. However, as you can see, the compression sack I've stitched it together so many times, and it's, a bit worse for wear, the compression sack itself, but the sleeping bag's still going strong. But yeah, it just wanted a bit of an upgrade for warmth wise. I will say though, with that upgrade in mind, I'm not made of money, so obviously I had to shop around. My next choice was actually going to be the OEX EV900, and that was my next go-to bag for quite a while, until I stumbled across this one. So in my experience, I have proven to myself that I'm going to go camping quite a bit, and I felt like I deserved this new bag. So obviously the price of this that I paid for, let's go with £159. They have offers on all the time, so I'm going to compare it with that price throughout this video. So if you compare it similar to some similarly spec'd, i.e. comfort ratings of other bags. So Nath's bag is a mountain equipment. I have found, I think it's his online with some specs and whatnot, so it's the Helium GT 800. So that bag is currently on the market for £430, and it has a comfort limit, a RAB comfort limit, sorry, mountain equipment sleep comfort limit of -16. Now, obviously that's only a degree further than this, but I will say, that was a spoiler alert, that there are definitely some differences given the price. So first of all, the amount of down in this, we will go into a minute, but the down for the mountain equipment bag is around 844 grams, and that is hydrophobic down, like a lot of the named more expensive bags are. The Helium bag is much lighter. It's much smaller when it's packed down. However, it is also smaller internally, so obviously you can take that how you like it. If you're not too fussed about a cramped bag, then that wouldn't be a negative. However, I'm not a huge fan of cramped bags. Not that I'm saying it is fully cramped, but I love a bit more room in the sleeping bag. So yeah, that's a little comparison to what you would get for a similarly spec'd comfort rating. So moving on, this bag comes in technically three different size ratings or comfort ratings. So we have the 1,000 gram down, which is 1,000 grams of down inside the bag, the 1,500 grams, and the 1,800, which is this baby right here. So it also comes in red and black, which is actually the opposite side zipper, and you can actually zip these two bags together, so you get this bag and then the red and black bag, and they zip together to make a sort of double sleeping bag. So first I wanted to give you a measurement of the compression bag when it's all completely cinched down, because you can't really rely too much on the product pages for this, because it depends how much they're cinching it down, and you know, obviously it's not a complete perfect shape, so you know that can affect things too. So let me just quickly get a measuring tape out and measure this bad boy. So I will do it in centimeters, but obviously you can do the conversion if you're from the US. So top to bottom, you're looking at around 34 centimeters. Now it does pack down quite big for what I'm used to compared to the previous sleeping bag, but again, I'll go into what I actually do when I'm packing it into the bag in just a second. Now, across on its largest side, you're looking at around, this is very rough by the way, 27 centimeters. So you can keep that in mind. That is obviously a circular top and bottom, so keep that in mind when you're thinking about a diameter. However, what I will say is when I'm actually packing it into my bag, I do not use the compression bag. I use a stuff method straight into the bag without a compression sack, and it fills out a lot more space inside the bag. You get a lot more room for what you've got, and it works much better. Just make sure that if you do that, you protect your sleeping bag with a dry bag or an inner bag of your backpack. Just make sure that it keeps it nice and safe while it's not inside its compression bag. So a couple of specs with this bag as well. So it has, this specific one has 1,800 grams of 100% 660 fill power down, which is quite good specs considering the price of it. And I don't think you're going to get that amount of down for your money anywhere else at the moment. So that's a great amount of down, and as you can see, I mean, you can only compress down so much, but you can compress it quite a bit. So the down itself in the bag, and on the product page it says the outside of the bag is splash proof. Now I haven't really got any splashes on it, however it does absorb a bit of condensation if it does drip onto the bag. It's not like it's completely waterproof or anything like that, so just make sure that you have measures in place to stop condensation. It's never really affected the warmth of the bag at all when I've used it, but obviously when you wake up and it's a little bit darker colour in some patches on the bag, you've just got to make sure that you are taking care of that and drying it out fully before the next use if you can. The inner and outer material of the sleeping bag is a 400 thread count 20D ripstop nylon. Now that's quite a standard type of material for camping gear, and let me just open this up now for you so you can have a better look at the bag. I think it's overdue, so we will see how this looks out of the compression sack. Compression sack is very well made, I will say. It's quite robust material. All the straps are well enforced. However, again, I don't really use it too much, so I can't confirm or deny whether or not that is actually going to last over time. But regardless, you're here for the bag of down, not the compression sack. So obviously I will let this loft up to make sure that we give a proper review of that, but I will leave it there for now. So again, this material is very soft inside and out. Outside it is a lovely brown colour. Obviously it's personal preference, but I wanted a very natural coloured sleeping bag, which you can't really get. It's very hard to get on the market. So when I came across this, I was over the moon. The inside of the bag is a sort of latte, colour for this, and I think it works really well. And again, super soft and comfortable inside. If I've ever sort of sweated in the bag, I've never felt like I was sticking to it or anything like that, which again is quite a good thing from my experience. The bag shape is a mummy bag, so it does go wider at the shoulders and slightly smaller at the foot end of this. And what I would say is, for a mummy bag, it does have a lot of space inside, so I can move about, I can toss and turn inside the bag, and it causes no issues whatsoever, which is a really nice thing to have. But again, you know, you sacrifice a pack size slightly bigger than usual for the specs, and I think it's a worth sacrifice for the price, especially considering there's nothing like this on the market for this price, I don't think, from what I've seen anyway. The comfort rating for this bag is 15 degrees, so I've tested it down to around -4, -5 so far, and it was warm. I used it almost like a quilt, and yeah, it's great down to that temperature. I don't think it'd struggle down to -15, maybe if you put a base layer on or something like that, but I can almost certainly say that this is at least down to -10. I'd be no problem using this whatsoever, which again is exactly why I got a bit of a upgrade for a bag. As this is lofting up, you can see slightly. It takes a little while because there is a lot of down to loft up. It does have a limit of -23, and I don't know whether I'd go to -23 in it, to be fair, but again, that's a safety standpoint. So, you know, I'm sure if you were fully, you know, you were down trousers, down jacket, it would take you down to that, but it's not worth the risk in the UK and anywhere I'm going to camp. It's not going to get that cold, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. But maybe you do camp that cold, so that'll be quite useful to know. So -23 is the sort of comfort limit, if you like. It does have an extreme rating, but I don't even think it's worth going to that because it's like -30 odd, and it's, again, not worth it, I don't think. As mentioned previously, the other left-hand side sleeping bag, so left-hand zipper, is red and black. It's not the colourway I wanted, so I didn't get that one. However, it comes in left and right zippers. So as you can see on this bag, the zipper is on the right-hand side. That is really good because, again, you can unzip it fully all the way. The zip actually comes off the bottom, which helps a lot for obviously attaching two sleeping bags together. And if you're going to use this as a quilt, works really well as a quilt. I've used it previously like that, and it has no issues. So that's great. What I will say is, I'll turn this round now for you. So the hood of the sleeping bag is very well packed with down. Again, it's still lofting up at the moment, but it's very well packed. It's quite a large hood as well, from what I've compared it to. So I did compare it to Nathan's sleeping bag on the last camp, and again, no qualms to that sleeping bag. It's built for a purpose, for sure. However, the hood of that, and even Nathan mentioned that the hood on his is slightly smaller, and this is, you know, has a lot more space for your head, so you can move about, gives you space, and, you know, it's a bit more comfortable throughout the night if you do toss and turn. What I will say is that I hope you do enjoy this video. Obviously, it's different to what we usually do on the channel, but we do want to do more reviews. I mean, I definitely do, especially. So, as I mentioned in a previous video, if you want to see any gear that we've got reviewed, it doesn't matter what it is. If you see it on the video, you don't even have to name the item. Just say the sleeping mat or the ground sheet in that video that Nath was using. Just comment down below, let us know on any videos, and we will definitely get a review out for that. We will obviously be a bit more quicker with the following reviews compared to this one. We've just been very busy. So if you can, leave a comment down below if you've got any other review ideas that you'd like us to do, and make sure you smash that like button so we know if you do like the video, because it helps us out a lot with the metrics on YouTube on what you guys want to see. So moving on back to the bag, it does have, like many other sleeping bags, quite a standard cinch for the hood. So I'll turn this around for you now. The hood comes on a little drawstring. It's quite cheaply made, not gonna lie, but it does the job, and the cinch method is usable and works. However, I will say I've not really used it too much because I don't feel like I had to, and I'll go on to that reason why in a couple of minutes. There are definitely better mechanisms on more expensive bags, but this is the sort of thing that you find will be sacrificed in this bag to keep the cost down. So you'll see them get that sort of thing across the whole bag. It does have a Velcro tab for the top of the zip to make sure that in the night that doesn't come down, which is a nice little addition. And then if you are using it as a quilt, you can Velcro it to itself so that you don't get scratched by that side of the Velcro. Now that we're on the zip, I will describe. So it's a two-way zipper. Obviously you can zip it up to get your feet out if you like, or you can zip it down from the top and it comes off completely, which is again great for using it as a quilt or zipping together another sleeping bag. On the zipper, it does have a zipper baffle, which is something that I didn't expect to see on this kind of bag, this budget sleeping bag. And it's not only got a down baffle, which covers the zip, which, you know, isn't... I feel like they could put a little bit more down in here to space it out. However, again, it's not caused any issues whatsoever so far, so maybe they know what they're doing, and I don't, hence why I don't make sleeping bags. But the zip actually has a stitching, or a stitched in piece of fabric, a more robust fabric, all the way down that says QEZER, all the way down, and that does help the zip from snagging on the down and the ripstop nylon. However, even with that, you know, it is what it is. You're going to zip it up every so often, you're going to zip it down every so often, it's going to catch. And I feel like there's not many things that I've come across so far in my budget gear that I do have, budget, if you know what I mean, that doesn't snag every so often. So I feel like that's just sort of common for camping equipment, or any sort of, you know, piece of equipment with a zip, especially when it's something such a thin material like this. It's going to get caught up in a couple of zips every so often, and it's a sacrifice that isn't too bad, I don't think. And again, I feel like they've mitigated it as much as possible with this strip of material, which helps a lot. We can turn this round now back to the other end, the foot box, and I will say one feature of this is the foot box is very tall, and it gives you a lot of space, and it's very well packed with the down, so they have not skimped on the foot box down there, which helps a lot with keeping your feet warm. I do stuff with quite cold feet while camping, so this is a lovely addition to have, and it's got more space in the foot box than it has just below it, so it gives you a lot of room to move your feet around. You don't feel like you're trapped if that's something that you do suffer with while you're camping with a mummy sleeping bag. And yeah, it gives a great experience while camping. And obviously when you're using it as a quilt, you can still put your feet in there, keep them warm, and that helps a lot too. Spinning it around once again, we will have a quick look at a feature which isn't usually on the budget sleeping bags. Now, whatever you feel like this looks like, it works. It really, really works. So this is a neck baffle. Now, it does have a small sort of neck baffle around here where you cinch it in, around the top of the hood and across to the other side. However, inside the bag, this is a lifesaver. So if it ever gets cold, I did use this when it got to -4. Wasn't really necessary, but I wanted to just test it out. You just put this around your neck like this, and it stays like that throughout the night when you're inside, and that genuinely keeps so much of your body heat just below your shoulders inside the sleeping bag. And it obviously keeps your neck warm as well. And there's only a small amount of down in here, but I don't feel like you need any more than that. And you know, I feel like that has genuinely changed the game for the rating, temperature rating of this sleeping bag here. So yeah, that's it so far. What I'm going to do is now I will go through the measurements of this actual sleeping bag itself. So it is 75 centimeters from shoulder to shoulder, and that is at its widest point. So for me, perfectly fine. I'm quite broad-shouldered. That's just the way it always has been for me, and this sleeping bag fits me absolutely perfectly. And yeah, I couldn't be happy with the shoulder width for this sleeping bag. Obviously your mileage may vary. If you're built like, you know, an absolute brick, then you might have to make sure that you can fit in a sleeping bag that's 75 centimeters wide at the largest point. However, for tall people, it's actually 215 centimeters long, so lengthways it's got a lot of height. My height, I'm 5'9", 5'10". I get swamped height-wise in this sleeping bag, so if you're a tall guy over 6 foot, this should be no problem for you. So what I will do now is I'll get inside the sleeping bag and then sort of talk through, you know, why I bought this sleeping bag, who is it for, and sort of close out this review for you guys. Okay, let's get in the sleeping bag. So the actual zip snagged once already on the thin outer fabric. One reason I feel like that is just purely because the down is so like lofted up that it's hard to sort of close it over sometimes because of how much down is actually in the sleeping bag. But I'll finish getting in, and then I will talk a little bit more about my thoughts and experiences so far. It is instant warmth. It really is. As soon as you get in this bag, I mean, it's about 5 degrees at the moment, but as soon as you get in this bag, it automatically just feels like you're in another climate, if that makes sense, like a little microclimate. So, what I will say is as well, another thing that I've forgot to mention earlier about the zip is the zip actually has a flip over function, so you can actually zip it up from the inside, which is really handy. And it definitely saves you when you are zipping the last little bit up in the sleeping bag, because you obviously can't get a hand out sometimes because of the size of the opening here. There we are. So, my experience so far with the bag has been phenomenal. It has not let me down yet, and I don't see it letting me down anytime in the future. I don't think there's many negatives that I can actually pull from, because the price that I paid for, £159, it's a spectacular bag for that price. And any little things, for example, the zip catching every so often, even with that little sewn in strip of fabric, and the pull cord for this being a little bit cheaper than, you know, the more expensive bags. You know, there's not much I can complain about. Maybe the only thing I can is the pack size. So obviously it packs down a lot bigger than sleeping bags of the same comfort rating. But that's what it is when you go for a little bit of a cheaper option. The last thing I wanted to do was compromise on warmth, which is that, you know, that definitely hasn't been the case here. So, who is this actually for? The sleeping bag that I feel like this is, I mean, the colour alone is more for casual campers. So, you know, the campers that like to live a bit more comfortably, I would say, that's what the colour appeals to. But I also like the colour because I love to be comfortable while camping. And the colour alone, if you like natural colours with sleeping bags, there's not many companies that do this sort of thing. So I know Nature Hike do some natural colours as well. And there may be another one. I think One Tigress does some natural colours. However, I don't think One Tigress do a down sleeping bag, unfortunately. So obviously the natural colour, first of all, that strikes out to you if you want a natural colour sleeping bag. There aren't many options anyway. So that's one person who would definitely think about buying this. Another person would be someone who loves to winter camp, especially in the UK, but doesn't want to spend an absolute fortune to be able to get out there and be comfortable and safe in those winter times, whether it be on top of a mountain or down in the freezing rivers, valleys and whatnot in the lower temperatures. It's going to keep you warm in the UK. No matter what the temperature is, it's going to keep you absolutely toasty. And you would definitely, I would feel safe in this. If I was on the top of a mountain in -10, I would feel safe in this sleeping bag. Obviously, be prepared whenever you do go out venturing. Camping can be quite a dangerous place, especially in winter, and especially if you're hiking up a mountain, so do your own research for that. And please do not take the advice of a YouTuber like myself for whether or not something is safe to use to go up on a mountain. I haven't used that on a mountain yet. However, we do plan to do some peaks this year. Probably not in the winter time, so it won't be that cold. However, hopefully the temperature will get down slightly, and we can definitely put this bag to its paces even further. So, what would I actually change about the sleeping bag? I feel like one thing I would change about the sleeping bag range is, first of all, the red and black sleeping bag. Do that in both side zippers. And for this one, do it in both side zippers, because if you're going to get two sleeping bags for a double sleeping bag setup, the last thing you want is a multicoloured setup where one meets a style of, you know, sort of natural colours, woodland colours, and then the other one looks like it's, you know, ready to go on a mountaineering camp. It's not a terrible colour choice, however, obviously something to keep in mind if you guys go out as a couple and like to zip up 2 sleeping bags together. The other thing I would change about this is probably give it a bit more waterproofing on the actual outer fabric. I feel like it absorbs a little bit more moisture than I would like, but I don't think that's avoidable. So I think, you know, the things that would have to be changed about the sleeping bag are kind of counteracted by the price of the sleeping bag itself, if that makes sense. So far, I think this sleeping bag is actually a bit of a hidden treasure at the moment, and I think a lot of people should definitely consider looking at getting one of these if you're, you know, looking for a budget bag but still want to go camping throughout the winter, because that's what I wanted, and it fits my needs absolutely perfectly. And I don't see any other reviews on YouTube for this specific sleeping bag, and hopefully this video is going to help you guys have the knowledge to make the decision and more options for you to choose a winter sleeping bag for your future endeavours. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. Absolutely. Even for the price that is at the moment, £199, I would pay that. The OEX EV900 is around the same price and goes down to -5 comfort. Obviously packs down smaller, and it might be better for some people, but if you want absolute warmth, you cannot get better for your money than this sleeping bag right here, that I've found so far anyway. So camping in a tent, camping in a hammock, it works perfectly. Obviously in a hammock you're going to use an underquilt anyway, so it's not going to be a problem. But yeah, it's been through its paces already this winter, and it's going to be put through plenty more in the future. So if anything comes up, it will be in a camping video, I will mention it, and there are no secrets for this bag. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's amazing. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, guys, thanks so much for watching as well. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, because we will be doing more reviews. Whether people request them or not, we'll be putting them out there, and hopefully we can get some more information to you guys on the gear that we've got, and, you know, educate you guys and give you information to better influence your decision for camping gear, because you can never have too much information for camping gear. So, you know, I'll give factual details, so specs of sleeping bags, and, you know, pricing as well as I can, because obviously pricing changes, but I will do it for the time of the video and the time that I bought the product. There will be opinions in this video, obviously, because it'll be due to our own experiences, but that's how a review goes, and you need to get as many reviews under your belt, watching and reading many reviews, just to make sure that you make the most informed decision you can on the gear that you buy. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next one.